Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. I, 28 female, got engaged to my fiance, 31 male, last year, and we started planning our wedding. My dad is pretty wealthy, and he paid for both my sister's and brother's weddings. Big weddings, like $50,000 each. On top of that, he also gifted each of them a big chunk of money, around $500,000, as a down payment for a house. My sister's wedding was super traditional. My dad walked her down the aisle. They did the whole father-daughter dance and all that stuff. When I started planning my wedding, I decided I didn't want any of those traditional patriarchal things. I find the idea of being given away by a man pretty outdated and misogynistic. And the same goes for the father-daughter dance thing. I was planning on walking myself down the aisle and skipping those traditions. When I told my dad about this, he seemed a bit upset. He asked if he had done something to offend me or if it was about him. I told him it wasn't personal. I just didn't see myself as his property to be given away. He said he understood, but seemed a bit sad about it. Anyway, about 3 weeks ago, my fiancé and I decided to forego the whole traditional wedding entirely. We eloped to this beautiful scenic spot in the mountains. Think something like the Blue Ridge Mountains, and got married, just the two of us. It felt right to us, simple, no fuss, and free from all the patriarchal traditions that we found problematic. Weddings often reinforce outdated gender roles, and I wanted no part in that. We wanted to celebrate our love without all that nonsense. When we got back last week, we told my dad, and he was not happy. My sister and brother were kind of shocked, but congratulated us. Yesterday, I approached my dad and requested the $550,000 that he had gifted to my siblings. He said no. I asked him why not, since he gave it to my sister and brother after their weddings. He said that the money was a wedding gift, and that I didn't have a wedding, so there's no gift. I'm honestly seething. It doesn't feel fair that just because I didn't want a big traditional wedding, I'm being penalized. I understand it's his money, but I know he's punishing me for not conforming to his expectations. My sister and brother are staying out of it, but I think they agree with him. So am I the a-hole for expecting the same gift as my siblings, even though I eloped instead of having a traditional wedding? Edit. I wasn't expecting the "you're the a-hole" verdict to be so strong, but I wanted to clarify a few things because I feel like people are misunderstanding some of the context here. Number 1. First off, I don't see the money as some sort of patriarchal thing. It's an inheritance. My dad gave both my sister and my brother $500,000 as a gift after their weddings. And it wasn't about them being married or fulfilling some traditional role. It was about a parent supporting their kids. My brother got it too, so clearly this isn't about favoring one gender over another. Number 2. And yes, I stand by my decision that my wedding should be my rules. I'm not into outdated traditions that treat women like property to be given away. I wasn't going to have my dad walk me down the aisle or do the father-daughter dance. And that's my right. If my dad is upset about that, that's on him, not me. He's not entitled to dictate how I celebrate my own marriage, even if he was gonna pay for it. Number 3. Another thing people don't realize is that my fiancé is an attorney and has about $120,000 in debt from law school. We were banking on the money from my dad to help us buy a house and manage that debt. We planned on using it for a down payment just like my siblings did. Number 4. I'm starting to see my dad in a different light. It feels like he's trying to control me with money just because I made different choices as a woman. He was fine with giving my sister and brother money, but because I didn't have a proper wedding, he thinks it's okay to withhold it. I'm disappointed in how things turned out. I never thought my own father would treat me differently because I chose to live my life my way. I'm not going to apologize for making choices that align with my values. But it sucks to realize that he's not as supportive of those choices as I thought. OP, you just got married, and with how your dad gave $550,000 to your siblings after their wedding, it's not crazy for you to ask for yours. However, you also have to remember you're not entitled to your dad's money. From your story, it seems he gave your siblings that money because he was a part of their wedding. And their wedding was conventional just the way he wanted. You decided not to have a traditional wedding and to not have him as involved in your wedding as he would have wanted, which probably made him feel like you don't deserve his monetary gift. It sucks, but you can't force him to give it to you. You're right though, your dad's money shouldn't come with a condition. He should have given it to you regardless of how you chose to do your wedding, and that's where he's the a-hole. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for shutting my sister's disruptive child in a bedroom for a few hours? My younger sister has been nagging me to take care of a child while she and her husband go out on date nights for a while now. I don't like children and I've always refused her, but after being worn down by constant begging, I gave in. Now I'm in this shitty situation. To cut a long story short, her son arrives and immediately starts causing shit. Running around the place, demanding to eat all my snacks, opening my things to look around for toys, and demanding attention constantly. I tell him to watch TV and just let me relax, but he seems determined not to listen to a word I said. Finally, I get him to calm down and sit after bribing him with ice cream, which I was saving for the weekend. He shuts up and finally settles down. Or so I think. I go back to my room to browse Reddit and try to relax, but after a while, I hear my cat let out a giant yowl. I immediately run to investigate and find the little shit standing there with my cat backed into a corner, back raised and hissing. He immediately backs away when he sees me, but I just know he's done some shit. And after I question him and he breaks out crying and says he just wanted to play a game with the cat. When I go to take him back to the lounge to sit down, I see not only has he been harassing my cat, he's smeared ice cream all over my new white couch and on the carpet below. I should add in here he is a 7-year-old, not 3. There is no reason for him to make such a mess other than a lack of respect. At this point, I'm really angry, especially after seeing my poor baby in a state because of him, but trying to keep it cool. I tell him he's to clean the mess he made, but then he starts to throw an almighty tantrum and starts screaming and crying at the idea of having to face a consequence for the mess he created. I've had it by now and I tell him he's going to sit in a room until he can calm down and behave and not terrorize my cat and cause giant messes in my house. I take him to the guest room and shut the door and say he can come out only when he starts acting properly. Spoiler alert, he cries the entire time, which is honestly ridiculous, and is still there and sobbing when his lovely mother and her darling hubby arrive to pick him up. They freak the F out at me and it ends up with them storming out. Now my mother and brother are blowing up my phone with a biased story straight out of my dear sister's mouth about how I shouted at and scared her son for no reason and locked him in a room. I know that, quite luckily, I'm not my nephew's mother, and my sister seems to think that means I have no right to punish him. I think he was in my care and that gives me the right to discipline him as I see fit. And she's an ass for getting angry after nagging me to care for him so long while she went out to have fun. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole, OP. You neglected a child and left him alone with your cat, and then you got mad when he petted the cat the wrong way. You should have been there to watch him, whether you like kids or not. You told his parents you were going to watch him. For that period, he was your responsibility. It was only for a couple of hours. All you had to do was stay with the kid and, in turn, keep him from destroying your stuff and playing with your cat the wrong way. Now for some comments. Many kids don't realize they are scaring animals. My neighbor's kids had to be taught how to properly pet the cat and realize when it did not want attention. Kids pet too hard, pet the wrong place, or don't understand that an animal wants to be left alone. If the kid doesn't have much interaction with the cat or only with the dog, he might think all animals are down to play. Because you know he's only 7 and 7-year-olds aren't great at understanding body language, let alone animal body language. OP, you should have been there to supervise but was spending too much time being a drama queen. Sorry, but I think you're the a-hole. This is a 7-year-old child you're talking about, your sister's son, family. Why were you so cold and cruel to him? In my opinion, you could have spent time with the kid, attempted to entertain him. Sounds to me like he wanted attention from you, and you were and are too self-centered to get that. He felt ignored and neglected and so possibly was acting out. You put him in a bedroom by himself for a few hours? I guess your family is lucky you did not tie him up and gag him. You just sound mean and selfish to me. OP lacks complete common sense. Sure, you didn't want to watch the kid, aka your nephew, so you neglect him and Pikachu's face, he causes some trouble. Effing grow up. Family is family. Either way, if you didn't want to watch your nephew, you could have not watched the child. The moment you agree, whether you like it or not, to watch the kid, you are responsible for them. It's called being an effing adult. If the kid died, you would have been 100% responsible. You're lucky the neglect was him being a little ass. You're the a-hole. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for wanting to share a hotel room with my female assistant to save money? I am a 34-year-old male in a relationship with a 39-year-old woman. We have been together for 2 years. I have a female assistant who is 22. My girlfriend and I have discussed an open relationship. My girlfriend was in an open marriage before, so she is not 100% against that arrangement. But she hasn't agreed to it yet. I have known my assistant for a long time. We were friends before I hired her. I have always thought she was hot and told my girlfriend a while back that I wanted to sleep with her. My assistant has also made comments about wanting to have a threesome with my girl and I. I think she's more into my girl than me though. I told my girl that my assistant thinks she's hot and has expressed interest. She never said yes, but didn't say no either. Well, now there is an out-of-state trip coming up that I need to go on for business. My girlfriend can't go. I plan on renting one hotel room for my assistant and I. My girlfriend told me she isn't comfortable with me sharing a hotel room with my assistant, considering the sexual comments that have been made and stuff. I told her sorry, but she needs to get over it. I'm not rich and can't afford 2 rooms. She tried to say it is just inappropriate for a man and a woman to share a room on a work trip. I told her I don't care. She was my friend before she was my employee, and my girlfriend will just have to deal with it. She said she didn't like it, but she can't tell me what to do and just wishes I would respect her wishes more. I tried to tell her it has nothing to do with respect. This is economical. If she wants to pay for a second room, then I will gladly put my assistant up in a second room. But unless she's willing to pony up the money, she really just needs to be quiet. Nothing is going to happen, and I wish she would work on her trust issues. Edit. I'm getting tired of explaining this over and over in the comments. I own the company, so yes, the expense of the hotel comes out of my pocket. My employer isn't footing the bill because I'm self-employed. And yes, it's a tax write-off. But writing it off at the end of the year doesn't really help if I don't have the money now to pay for it. Now for some comments. You're the a-hole. Because you're not being honest with your girlfriend about your real reasons for wanting to share the room. You're the a-hole for laying down the law instead of listening to her concerns. You're the a-hole for assuming your assistant is even going to be okay with this. And you're the a-hole for pretending this has anything to do with saving money. You're the a-hole, and are you for real? No business is going to allow a female employee to share a room with her male boss. It's unethical, and you are leaving yourself wide open to a lawsuit. Even if your assistant eagerly jumped your bones while you were asleep, she could still sue you for sexual harassment in the future, because you're her boss and there is an unequal power dynamic. You're the a-hole, and holy F, you're a dick dude. This goes beyond being in an open relationship, and beyond even what your girlfriend thinks. You're using your work position to arrange a creepy situation with a subordinate you work with. Predatory AF. And since you like to use the terms I don't care in regards to what your girlfriend says, you're even more of an a-hole. This post describes someone so cartoonishly douchey.